We continue Nightline's federal budget special live from Parliament House, Canberra. Earlier we heard from Treasurer Wayne Swan, now the turn of the opposition. Back again to Laurie Oakes, with him Shadow Treasurer Joe Hockey.
Mr Hockey, thanks for your time.
Any time, Laurie.
Mr Swan said in his speech, those looking for a big spending pre-election budget won't find one. True?
No, not true. He's in fact spending $26 billion more than he did last year. And he's spending it on things like an extra $1 billion on border protection because their policy has failed, $1 billion to try and fix their pink bat program. Kevin Rudd said he wouldn't have any more health bureaucrats, but he's spending $500 million on new health bureaucrats. This is reckless spending, Laurie.
On Sunday, when you were asked what a reasonable time frame would be to bring the budget back into surplus, you said, well, they could do it if they tried in 3 to 4 years. Well, Mr Swan's doing it in 3, so are you pleased?
I don't believe the numbers are real. They're based on false assumptions. The government is saying that they're going to have the best terms of trade in 60 years. They're going to have record levels of investment in mining, and yet they're introducing a new $9 billion a year mining tax. The logic doesn't flow. On the one hand, they say that fewer people are going to smoke with an increase in the tobacco tax, but they're saying there's going to be greater investment in mining with a massive new tax.
So you're questioning Treasury's figures?
I'm questioning, yes I am. I'm questioning the budget figures, I'm questioning the assumptions, and I'm questioning the spin from the government.
But why don't you trust what Treasury said?
Well, last year they got it desperately wrong. They were forecasting that there was going to be a recession. Now they're forecasting that there's going to be a massive increase in mining investment.
So you think last year they were too pessimistic?
Well, obviously with the benefit of hindsight, but also within the framework.
But you said at the time they were too optimistic. You rubbished them, and it turned out they were far too conservative.
Well, in the out years, obviously we were right, because in the out years they were projecting above trend growth. What they're now projecting is just a trend growth. But you know, there are other figures that are really disappointing, Laurie. The government says full employment is 4.75% unemployment. We left them with 4% unemployment.
Yeah, but
why are they
the
giving
current
up?
situation.
Why are they giving up
You
on
said
workers?
last year there was no way that the economy would recover as fast as Treasury said. You said there was no way they could halve the deficit in 6 years, which is what Mr Swan was saying last year. Now they're going to knock it off totally in 4 years.
No, they're not. They're not going to do that.
That's what Treasury says. I mean,
well, it's based on...
Aren't you looking a bit silly given what you said last year? Now you're saying the opposite?
Not at all. And I'll tell you why, Laurie. They're not going to be collecting $9 billion a year in a new mining tax. That is just dead wrong. They're assuming that they're going to have an increase in mining investment. And as each day passes, we hear of new miners who are putting off current operations or future operations. How can they base all of the numbers that deliver them a supposed surplus? How can they base it on a $9 billion a year new tax? It's inconceivable.
Of course, they say they're not basing on that at all. What they say is if they don't get the $9 billion, then what it was earmarked to pay for won't go ahead either.
Well, they're going to commit to the spending as they've done in the past, and they're going to have less revenue. That's quite clear.
No,
Mr.
Swan was quite clear today that if that tax didn't go ahead, nor would the benefits that it was going to pay for, including and particularly company tax and benefits for small business. Are you prepared to sacrifice those things?
Well, they're bringing forward the small business, and it's only for companies. They're bringing forward those tax cuts, going to start rolling them out before they got the money in the can from the mining tax. So, Laurie, it's based on false assumptions. And I'm sorry to disappoint Mr Swan, but we do not trust this government. We didn't trust it before. Australians shouldn't trust it now. They promised that they would do something about an emissions trading scheme. They haven't done it. They promised they'd fix the double drop-off on childcare. They let people down. Today they promised new GP super clinics. They haven't even delivered 3 of the 33 that they promised previously. You can't believe what they say.
Is there anything in the budget that you like?
I like the simplification of tax returns. That's a good initiative. I also think overall that the government has gone down the path of making too many promises and failing to deliver. And what I would say to the government is only promise what you can deliver. Don't promise on the never, never. Wayne Swan and Kevin Rudd will never deliver a surplus budget for Australia.
Why do you say that? They've imposed this pretty strict discipline on themselves, a 2% cap on real spending, and they say they will maintain that, assuming they win the election, until the surplus
until it gets to 1% of GDP.
Now, would you commit a coalition government at the same discipline?
We will have greater discipline, and I promise you this, Laurie. We will not shuffle money around the way Wayne Swan has to keep that promise. They brought forward spending on water buybacks so they wouldn't break that 2% rule. So they've fiddled with the numbers in order to fit in with what they claim. When you fiddle with the numbers, you get caught out eventually, and we're catching them out.
If the coalition wins the upcoming election, how long will it take you to get the government back into surplus, get the budget back into surplus?
Well, ultimately it depends on a whole range of factors, Laurie, but I've never been afraid to make hard decisions. I've made hard decisions when I was a minister for 9 years, including retrenching a few hundred staff from the public service. I'll make those hard decisions again.
Are you serious when you suggest, I think, that you might even oppose the 50% tax discount for the first $1,000 of interest that people earn?
You know what that delivers? Do you know what that grand initiative delivers for people? $3 a week.
But that can be quite important.
Well, $3 a week, and if you matched it with the rhetoric and spin from Wayne Swan tonight, you would think it would deliver a whole lot more.
But if it's only worth $3 a week and it's going to help the poorest people in the community, I mean, how petty are you for even thinking of opposing it?
Well, the best way to help the poorest people in the community is to have a government delivering surpluses, to have lower unemployment, not to give up on 75,000 people who are the difference between 4.7% unemployment and 4%, which the coalition last left.
Mr. Hoggerby, thank you.
Thank you, Laurie.